in that archway with with all my gear, my stuff, and I had what seemed like an eternity to stand there and ponder my own demise. But I remember being at great peace, and I just thought, well, I guess this is how it is. And I've seen what happens when these big planes hit these buildings, and I knew that the wingspan of a 747 was wider than the White House itself, so
These bitches
it
ain't
was
got nothing
probably
else I
all
could
going
take.
down, and everything was going to be burned. I
That's
thought about
all.
my wife for a second, and I said, "Well, Lord, here I come. I'm ready." You know, they're going to put a plaque
No
for me
money.
up over at headquarters, and that's just all she wrote. And it wasn't too much longer that we got
No
the
money.
crackle back on the radio that that the plane had been identified, that there was no emergency, that we could unevacuate the White House. He just wasn't on the right frequency, and he wasn't didn't have his transponder turned on, so they just had no way to identify him without visually identifying him. That Air Force pilot came a lot closer to dying that night than I did, but I sure didn't know that at the time. Part of training to be a presidential or vice presidential agent is being shot at. And you need to know what that sounds like. You need to know what it feels like even. They absolutely light you up with paintballs and with plastic paint bullets and shot from real weapons. But
Oh my
if you
God, I
do
knocked
it
his head
wrong, you can
off.
count on being shot. And if
His
you
head is
stick your head
gone.
up where it shouldn't be stuck up, you're going to taste some of that paintball in your mouth, because the instructors are just that good with those weapons, and so they know the mistakes that agents are going to make in training. They've seen it all before. Being shot at is no fun, I can tell you that, and that really drives you as a Secret Service agent to
Missed
bolster up
this.
prevention, because you don't want to be
There's
shot
some
at.
money in
You
here.
want to prevent the shots
Oh,
from happening in the first place. So you
oh
get hit,
yes.
you pay for it. It hurts, and you've got those
It's
bruises
a
for
dollar. These
for a
niggas
few
broke.
weeks to think about what you did wrong. The very first thing that special agents have to do is go through a 2-week training
Yeah.
course in Washington D.C. And this is really
KKK.
your intro course to being a part of the Secret Service family. The second step is a trip to Glencoe, Georgia, to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. You learn about defensive driving, you learn about shooting and control tactics, handcuffing, a little bit of fighting, a little bit of federal law enforcement in terms of surveillance and arrest, and a lot of classroom. And then you're sent to the Secret Service Training School just outside of DC, and this is where the road gets
Oh
a little
shit.
rougher. We start with
Dang, her shit
24.
still tripping.
Typically, most make it. In my class, 19
About
out
to,
of the 24 made it.
about to
A
go
lot of
hit up
times we would have a
Spectrum.
schedule that said that the next day is all classroom, and that's a sort of a relaxing thing to know ahead of time that hey, it's all classroom. You can come dressed in your fatigues, with your polo, and we're just going to be in the classroom all day. And that never seemed to work out. We would show up, and the instructor would be in his workout attire, shorts and t-shirts, and he says, "What are y'all doing dressed in those clothes? Get your PT gear on now, and let's go." As our lead instructor, we had a gentleman who was a former Marine Corps officer, who then had served in the CIA. He'd been in the Secret Service for a good while. He'd been on the Presidential Protection Detail, and he pushed us hard. The training lasts about 6 months. Between
Hi.
those three
What's
stops,
good?
DC
Hey.
down to Glencoe, Georgia, and back to DC is about 6 months. 1 week where you're learning about constitutional law, and then at the end of the day, you're
Hi,
headed
you
to the long
guys.
range to shoot long guns, and we would shoot everything from pistols, and that could be a 9mm, 40mm, 38 special, up to MP5s and M4s, and then our snipers, who come from our uniform division, have sniper type rifles, which are much bigger and longer. Look, I was the freak. I showed up there with right eye dominant, but I closed my right eye, and so what they worked with me, because I was looking down the barrel of a pistol with my left eye, and I had just made it work all these years, but it was a bad habit. And so they
Four.
moved
Bitch
me
ass
to a
nigga.
different stance, more of an open stance, and keeping both eyes open, and that was what ended up working for me. We missed those Uzis; those were great guns. When I came into the Secret Service, that was the standard long gun for agents, and so we were all trained on the Uzi. We had that outstanding Samsonite briefcase with the Uzi in it, and we all got trained on that. But it got replaced by the MP5 probably back in the early 2000s. One of the funner parts of training was just the familiarization courses that we would be put through. And one of those, when I was on the Presidential Protection Detail, was a familiarization with the sounds. They took us out to Fort Meade, and they fired rounds over our head from various weapons. And so we got to hear what an M4 sounds like when 5.56 rounds are going over your head, or what an AK-47 round sounds like when they're going over your head, or what a 50 cal sniper rifle sounds like when those rounds are cracking over. And very distinct sounds.
Time to go. It's time to lay down.
Heard them, but they also taught you how to take an AK-47 apart and put it back together.
Yeah.
What do you want to do if you want to disable a weapon that an assailant dropped and left behind and render it safe? Part of the training that we received was called control tactics. So control tactics includes hand-to-hand type exercises in combat, if you will, to knife fights, and then how to disarm somebody with a weapon. So all of that comes into play. We start in a mat room, and you've got a rubber knife or a rubber gun, and you're working it out. You're doing it wrong 6 times to get it right one time, and now we've got it. Let's do it again. And these instructors typically all a black belt in some sort of discipline, whether it's jiu-jitsu or Kempo karate or Taekwondo. And so we're really getting a hodgepodge of all of those things. A lot of Gracie jiu-jitsu moves that really do work well, because we don't want to stay and fight. We want to subdue. We want to bring someone into compliance, and then we need to shove off and move. We have an axiom that we say: maximum to the protecting, minimum to the problem. You know what? Anyone can win any fight any day, and a lot of that comes back to the training and how well you train. But if you're caught off guard, if you're not mentally prepared, if you're not physically prepared, you're probably going to lose.
Here in Georgia, one reckless driver can turn your whole life upside down.
Medical bills, lost wages, and pain that doesn't go away.
While you're trying to heal, the insurance company already working.
They'll hope that you'll take a low offer and walk away.
But that's not happening on our watch.
We take cases all over Georgia, from Atlanta to Jonesboro to Decatur.
You focus on getting better. We'll handle the fight.
Call the Miller Law Firm when the insurance company pushes you around.
Call the Miller Law Firm, Atlanta's advocate.
Everyone thinks that somehow we're a spy agency or an intelligence agency, and it's really quite the opposite. We are strictly law enforcement. We use intelligence. We try to gain intelligence, but that's usually handed to us. And so we certainly need intelligence about protective efforts, about threats against the president. Attempts on the president are rare, but certainly people who would like to make an attempt are not rare. We've seen celebrities make threats, and John Wilkes Booth was probably the most famous actor in America. Everyone knew who he was at that play that night, and he was allowed to walk backstage and have access to the presidential box because of who he was. There was one comedian who displayed the severed head of a president and was interviewed about that. We're going to talk to that person and find out, what's the intent here. If someone is squawking and talking, be it on the internet or at a bar or with friends and family about their intent to do harm to one of our protectees, we investigate that. We investigate every single one of those. How serious were you? Were you drunk? Were you off your medication? What was the cause of you making that threat? We keep records on those. We track them. We educate ourselves on them. And I don't know if there's a Secret Service agent alive who hadn't been at a party or a bar or somewhere. Even family members will say things that, depending on who the president is or what their political leanings were, that they would say something inappropriate. So yeah, I've been in the presence of people who've said some really stupid things and either steer the conversation the other way because they don't know I'm an agent, or just tell them flat out, hey, you need to stop before you say something you're going to regret. Even the patients at these mental institutions were given access to telephones at different times of the day, and we knew some of them by name and I knew several of them by voice, because every time they got unfettered access to a telephone, they would call our office, and they would start down this road, and they would talk into our telephone recording until it ran out of tape, because talking about, I want to kill the president, I want to do this, I want to do that, and they'd even at whitehouse.gov I'm going to kill the president. You know, people would just do stupid things, and there is a line to be crossed. It's a little blurry, but once you've crossed it, you're going to get angry. Secret Service protects the sitting U.S. president, their family, the sitting U.S. vice president and their family, former presidents of the United States, and then visiting heads of state. I think right now the Secret Service is protecting upwards of 40 people. But on any given day, heads of state visit the United States. Certainly when the UN General Assembly is in session, it becomes hundreds of people. Trust in the Secret Service is critical. Not only trust between the agents and the hierarchy, but also trust with your protectees. So if your protectee doesn't trust you, that's a huge problem. And it's a big reason why in the early 90s, when President Clinton went through the Monica Lewinsky scandal and all that, the Secret Service was subpoenaed to testify during that scandal. And we fought it. There's not a non-disclosure for embarrassing information, but that's where, you know, agents have to kind of earn their keep. They have to be worthy of trust and confidence, that they're not going to, you know, go off telling these stories and, you know, divulging things. We lost, so we did have to testify. But we want to be able to have and enjoy that kind of trust with the protectees, where they can know that they can be themselves, that they can do the job that they've been elected to do.
I need to start taking down my hair.
Last year, and I was the junior guy who was told to shut up and keep your head down, and you need to figure out what to do first. And so President Clinton really didn't get out and do a whole lot during that last year. Went on a few trips with him, but wouldn't say that I got to know him all that well. Probably gotten to know him better since he is a former president. President George W. Bush, I was there for his first 4 years. And that's when I really started making strides within the detail.
Oh yeah, Big Bang. I finished that movie last night I was telling you about the wrestlers. Why the hell Ric Flair was in that mud? Well, not the actual Ric Flair, but a nigga who played Ric Flair.
Who were assigned to run with him because he was a heck of
that shit was good though. It had me crying at the end.
Agents stood out to him, but it wasn't like a buddy kind of thing.
2 brothers committed suicide and one
he had some very
died of a
and
sickness.
they were not agents. So President Obama was different though, because I was assigned
Bro was
to
the
him
only brother.
when he was still a senator, and I was already a senior agent. I had already done the president's detail with 2 other presidents. We would go out for 3
Bro,
weeks
they already bro.
And so I came back.
Bro, this nigga died yesterday, and they already got a fucking documentary of him.
And I'm going out on my 3-week tour.
Oh, they knew he's finna die. They did it.
And it's time for my wife's ultrasound to find out if it's a boy or girl. And we always found out with all 5 kids. We're not on Air Force One. We're on a little private jet that somebody rented for him. There's a lot more intimacy.
Big Bro, they already made a documentary of Eric Dane.
I told this agent who was single with no kids.
They probably already working on it. You knew that he was sick.
Little bitty plane.
But still don't care.
2 staffers on the plane with him. And Reggie Love was one of them. Reggie hears this. He just turns around and he says, "Hey, Barack, Ken's having another girl."
Have anybody watched Scandal before?
The conversation to go. Well, I don't
So watch what?
to have these
Scandal.
personal conversations with
Is it good? Is it worth my
It's
time
really
to watch?
good.
I mean, my mom
It's a
loved
good
it.
watch.
He turns around
It's a
and
good
says,
watch.
"You're having another girl, huh?"
Okay, I'm finna start watching. This gonna be my binge watch of the day.
You're gonna be a gladiator by the time you finish.
My mom is obsessed with Scandal. She watched this like 4,000 times over and over again. So I don't know if her ass like it. 9 times out of 10,
3 boys, 2 girls.
I'ma like it. I seen some episodes. Like I know her dad evil as fuck, but like I never just watch beginning to end.
Your fault. And in my mind, I'm thinking back to being gone for 3 weeks and coming home and, you know, happy to be home, all that kind of stuff. And he was like, "Well, I don't know what to do with that, but as long as I'm not paying for college, congratulations." So the point of all that is that you know, I didn't have favorites necessarily, but the familiarity was different with each of those. And so Senator Obama gets elected president. I get promoted.
Ooh, Olivia Pope.
President's
Yes.
detail at the same time.
That.
I'll never forget the first time he saw me.
I'm gonna text mom and be like, I'm watching your show.
And so
He finna be so happy.
A big hug, and you know, there's just that familiarity. Whereas you know, these other 200 people.
Been a lot of her till I'm a couple episodes in.
On a daily or weekly basis, there's just no frame of reference. But for me, I think it went back to that day on the plane when he thought I was accusing him of being the father of my kids.
Snap your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free, plus get your biggest refund. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. No schedules except for Earned Income Tax Credit, Child Tax Credit, and Student Loan Interest. File now.
Oh, the same bitch who made Grey's Anatomy made this?
We're trying to kind of like
Oh, that makes sense.
our environment, so that the casual observer, maybe from a
You
distance,
know how to make
doesn't
good
know,
shows.
is that a
I
Secret
love
Service
that.
agent or is that a high-ranking department official? The special agents typically wear suits, and the truth is, the suits, they don't help you buy those suits. So Joe Banks had a, buy one get 22 free, and so I had a bunch of Joe Banks suits for a while. The wear and tear on suits is immense. I would wear holes where the gun leather, hit my hip. I would wear a hole in my pants, and then in my jacket, there would be a hole where the hammer was covered. So sunglasses if it's sunny, or if you just don't want your eye gaze to be detectable. The bulletproof vest was a requirement. You've got your issue side on, and we fluctuated in caliber.
The wind outside literally just closed my room door.
Damn.
That's how fucking windy it is, and my window's not open.
9 or a 40 back to 9. You would carry extra ammo. So
That's crazy as fuck.
Most agents
Is it cold?
2 extra. We all carry
Like-
the same gun.
It feels
winter
cold
cold?
because the wind's so bad, but it's not cold. It's like 50 degrees, but the wind is so fucking like.
If there's a gun on the floor,
That shit was pushing my little skinny ass all across the parking lot. I'm like, damn, bitch.
You've got an
Yeah.
extendable baton and a flashlight, and that was kind of minimal.
I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to orientation and come right back home because I don't have time.
They didn't issue those things, so you had to buy your own.
How was orientation?
There's another way to
It was cool. It was just like doing like the W2 form. I mean, W4
Oh, bitch, you went to
forms and shit
orientation?
like that. Mhm.
to have at your disposal
For what?
in case the lights go out.
The energy company.
And we're-
Oh, okay.
A lot
Period.
of times agents were encouraged to carry
What's the title?
an IFAC kit, and so that's it's just a trauma kit
Junior
in case you get
account
shot or your protectee is bleeding. that
something.
you
I think
got,
specialist.
immediate
Junior
access
account
to
something.
First aid,
Whatever.
Right, period.
tourniquet, something to cover that wound
Mm-hmm.
and start the
Yeah.
medical treatment immediately. So we also carried pagers back in the day, which then transitioned to a phone.
Yeah, so
and
my
radio.
first
We
day
always had a
is
radio.
Monday.
Some guys would carry backup
Hopefully mine
radios
is too.
because they didn't always
I go for my orientation tomorrow.
There's information that you carry with you.
Oh, that's
just
good.
in case.
Where's my phone?
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Diagrams and information about the president, about our plans.
So it's just a 2-hour orientation.
That's about all I'm authorized to.
I
Yeah,
think
mine's just like an hour and a half, but it was really just like doing like all the forms and like the direct deposit, all that type of shit.
Certainly a weapon or.
yeah, it says onboarding / orientation. That mean I got the job, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
said welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know why I keep asking myself that. I'm like, that mean I got a job, right?
Yeah, onboarding. That's
Okay.
getting all your information so they can pay you. Your money.
Oh my
Your
God.
money. Where's my phone?
Will you laugh at it?
My job is like 21 if I take the tollway, 21 minutes, and 25 minutes if I take the regular way.
I gotta go out there, and I can't find my phone.
It's
Probably the store in this
agents
coat.
would wobble a little bit on
I need to take down my hair and blow dry it and
fitting in.
clattering it.
And yeah, I'd call them out for it. In one
What's my
specific
phone?
instance, a pair of white
That's probably what I'm feeling.
big big frame sunglasses that just.
I haven't even been nowhere. I ain't did nothing. I ain't went nowhere. I
went
probably
up to
left it
this agent
downstairs
and I
when I
said,
cooked me some food.
You really.
That's the
thought
only
hard about
possible
it and decided to wear those
possibility.
sunglasses anyway.
Oh yeah, I did leave it down
And
by the microwave. I know exactly where it's
my
at.
mom said these are pretty cool. And I said, well, that should have been your first sign that they don't work. So I don't want to see them again. There's not a lot that I'm authorized to say about the car. I know a lot of people call it the Beast, but I can tell you, we did not.
I'm gonna eat this one little piece of chicken from mashed potatoes with cream of spinach. I don't feel like making breakfast. Oh, it's cold as fucking here.
So Bree was really with the other girls talking about how Chris believes
That's why I'm fucking freezing.
That we used prior to that time was a real car that was pulled off the line in Detroit.
My light bill is so fucking high.
Stretched and then armored it. In the process, the car now weighs too much for the frame. The tires won't support it. The suspension won't carry it. The brakes won't stop it. The engine won't pull it. Those were not ideal. In fact, the first time I drove the President was in an old style car. I missed the drop-off point by about 12 feet because I'm standing on the brakes and the car won't stop. And, you know, that's just the way it was. You know, you needed some lead-up time to get that thing rolling. And so it just wasn't ideal. Those upgraded cars that we've had since about 2000 are really not a car at all. It's an armored system that looks like a car, much more like a tank that's got a plastic car wrapped around it. And so it's got a Cadillac dash, it's got Cadillac furnishings on the inside, it's got a nice steering wheel, but the workings of that car actually work. You step on the gas and that thing goes. I mean, it's got a huge engine in it. The tires support it. I mean, it really is quite a beast in terms of its capability, but it does have a downside. And you know, it does not fly, it does not float. We get some really funny looks when we're in transport mode without them.
It's Victoria Justice's birthday.
So we take it to a local gas station.
I mean, we're all the same age.
Gas in that thing, and people are looking at us and taking pictures and getting a kick out of the fact that
When you saw what?
might be the president's car.
It's Victoria Justice's birthday, and I said y'all the same age.
The only people authorized to drive that car are
She just turned 33.
It was a
who are currently assigned to the transportation section. We built out a program.
Is this
Oh,
still
I'm
30?
I just seen her. Yeah, I think so.
It's not nothing. It's a tough
Greatest song in the world.
2-week class that you
Girl, I don't
have
know
to
about that.
pass.
It was another girl there at my orientation. Her name was Kayla too. So when they was calling Kayla, we both kept getting up. And we like, y'all need to make it specific. Y'all need to say Kayla B or Kayla L because her last name was Lewis.
I thought about the president's detail. The mechanics.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, ooh, us Kayla's are pretty because she was a real pretty girl. I'm like, shout out to you, Queen.
Certified mechanics out there.
Lock it.
And these guys are certified GM, ASE certified mechanics who are
I've only met one ugly Kayla before. And I can't stand that bitch. And technically she don't count with us. Her name is Kaila. So she not with the regular gang.
You know, all the time, and we rely on them very heavily. But they are one of the greatest assets we have that people have no idea. And they're in every motorcade. So if the car breaks down, they're assessing it immediately. And one time we were simply driving from the Air Force Base where we landed, taking the cars to the hotel. And I was driving the limo, and it just...
Yo, get off my dick, nigga.
I called the mechanic on the radio, and I said, hey, the car... And we got practically a motorcade with a police escort getting the cars from the airport to the hotel. And the mechanic came up and assessed, and he said, hey, it's the alternator. And this mechanic had that alternator swapped out in minutes. You know, if we hadn't told anyone, no one would have known. The second inauguration of President George W. Bush.
Okay, let me pause this. We're back. Oh, fuck.
but of salsa. I don't give a shit about him. You think another hot doctor? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. That might be a real best bitch. You think you're gonna get another hot doctor? That my best friend. Be a real bad bitch. Got a homeless. Why?
Okay.
Too fucking short to be this comfy. Too far to ride this ride.
Damn, I had 11 kills.